And you're writing inside about fertility effect. What signals concerning fertility you noticed in these clinical trials?
So they asked for women not to be pregnant when they came into the clinical trial, but they worked with thousands of women and some of them did become pregnant. And so when we looked at the data, there was a registry for women who had babies. And there were very high levels, Andrea, of congenital deformities for women who got pregnant. So in other words, there would be the babies would be born with deformities. There was a high miscarriage rate. The shot clearly had negative fertility effects on women who took it. And again, since the HPV vaccines have come on the market, I have met countless women who described to me that for many years they could not get pregnant, or if they did get pregnant, they had miscarriages. From the clinical trials at the very beginning, it was very clear that they had negative effects on fertility.
Let's go through these cases all around the world. We go through this. There is India, Japan, Ireland, Denmark. Can you tell us what happened in India?
Yeah, in India, they did. So the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gave money to a group called PATH, and they worked with poor young women in remote areas, mostly young women who are not living with their families. And they basically engaged in fraudulent informed consent procedures where people would sign an X for a girl's name. And many girls died in this process, and many girls were injured. And there was such an uproar in India about this that there was a parliamentary committee that wrote a scathing report about what had been done. And for many years, Gardasil was not permitted into the country. Sadly, that's no longer the case. But the clinical trials there really turned the whole government structure and to some extent the medical structure against the Gardasil vaccine.
We have also Japan, a very interesting case, and they pull back this vaccine.
They did. There's probably a sort of a personal story behind that, although we didn't confirm that. But there were thousands of Japanese young women who they were getting the Cervarix vaccine, the Glaxo one, but they were injured in the same way. Girls in wheelchairs, women with very severe autoimmune conditions. They had protests there in Japan as well. And it was taken off the market for some period of time. And I think that they stopped pushing it in the same way. And in Japan, there was a lot of sensitivity because it's a very insular ethnic group and culture. They were very worried about the fertility effects. And actually in Japan, and we write about this in the book, more than in most countries, there was actually kind of an open debate. They brought in people from outside the country to really debate whether or not it was appropriate for the country to have HPV vaccines.